I'm Chief Cheryl Victorian. This is Waco PD on the beat. Whether it's crime or just getting to know the Waco Police Department, we're here to talk about things that matter most to you.
Well, hello, Waco, and welcome to Waco PD on the Beat. I'm Sierra Shipley, the Public Information Officer for the Waco Police Department.
And I'm Officer AJ Smith, the Crime Stoppers Coordinator for McLennan County.
And we have a awesome new guest on our show today.
Yeah.
You are awesome. We've got
I think you are too.
Officer Brighton Johnson, or we call you BJ at the department. And so AJ, BJ, perfect.
There's no CJs that I know.
No. I could be I'll be a CJ for this episode. How about that? We'll just put the J in there for fun. So tell us a little bit about how long you've been at the department.
I've been here for a little over 4 years now. Actually, me and Mr. AJ Smith here were academy mates. It doesn't feel like it's been that long.
It really doesn't.
I don't know. As you get older, time goes by fast, I guess.
Explain kind of your career throughout the department. What did you start out doing, and what are you doing now? How has it all turned out?
So I put in my application and went through the long process like everyone else. After that, I ended up getting hired, went to the academy and the field training process. So after I was released from field training, I was assigned to South Waco. And the first area I was assigned to is downtown. But I was a floater, so I was pimped out to a lot of other areas in the city.
Just wherever they needed you.
Yeah, pretty much. I spent a lot of time in North Waco. I actually worked a few calls with AJ because he worked North Waco as well. But then 6 months into me being released on my own, I was assigned to Beat 220, which is the greater Baylor and South Terrace Apartments area. So from then on, that's where I spent the majority of my time in patrol. And while I was in patrol, I served as a defensive tactics instructor and a field training officer. And when this position came open, I've always had an interest in working with the community. So I applied to the neighborhood engagement team, and here I am.
And you just got started because this is what, day 17 for you?
I know. What day of the... It's,
Sure.
It's January 19th. It's January 19th.
Like week
we
3.
record these a little earlier.
Yeah.
You're brand new in this new net unit, so that's awesome. Now, before we get into too much of how exciting that new unit is and how excited you are for that, why Waco? Are you from Waco? Why did you pick Waco PD?
Well, I grew up in Mexia, Texas, MEXIA. It's about 40 miles east of Waco. So I was familiar with Waco, but I'm not really from Waco. I've been an athlete my entire life, and I got the opportunity to play football at Texas State University. So once I graduated high school, I left and went down to San Marcos. So once I was in college, I graduated and worked at a juvenile facility after college called the San Marcos Treatment Center. So I was there for a few years. And during that time, my father passed away. And with a multitude of different things, I became interested into law enforcement. And when I started applying places, I chose Waco mainly to be closer to my mama as she was getting older, because her and my father was married longer than I've been alive. So, I kind of wanted to help her out. And that was the main reason, honestly, why I chose to come to Waco. I knew nothing about the department, little to, anything at all. But it actually turned out to be a great place to work, and I'm happy I'm here. So that's what brought me here.
Very good. And so now you said you were an athlete in high school. During that time, did you ever even think about law enforcement as an option? Because you kind of were obsessed with football, I guess, right?
Well, growing up, I actually had no interest in being a police officer. My road to becoming a police officer was very it wasn't typical, So growing up, I kind of had a semi-negative view of police officers, just from interaction that I had that at the time I perceived as being negative. In hindsight, some of those weren't negative. It was just, the way I was looking at it. But, perception is reality.
Yeah.
So as I got older and matured, especially when I got into college, it kind of opened my mind to consider aspects of policing that I didn't consider before. So that's one thing college did for me. It just opened my mind to the policing world. And I thought So my interest in law enforcement kind of solidified in college, but it was shaped by various things that I experienced during my life, and from my father being in the military and just working at the San Marcos Treatment Center, that juvenile center, because it dealt with high-risk youth. So all those things together kind of pushed me to enter into law enforcement.
Yeah, very Good. I feel like we hear a lot of that where, I don't have the typical approach to law enforcement. They didn't really think about law enforcement or want to be a police officer. But as we talk with more of our officers, guys are all kind of the same a little bit. I mean, there have been a few that, I grew up in law enforcement, wanted to be here. But there's quite a few that say they had no interest. So I think it's pretty typical now.
At least within our department, it seems.
Yeah. But that's kind of cool. I like that story. What, you recently got into net unit, like you've said. That's the neighborhood engagement team. We had your sergeant come on, Sergeant Chet Long, to talk a little bit about that unit. You guys have been doing a lot since the kind of beginning of all this. January 3rd, right, was the kind of your first day. Yeah. So we're very, very new into all this. Yeah. So the neighborhood engagement team, give a little bit of a refresher about what the unit is and why you're excited for it.
So in a nutshell, the unit's primary mission is to have positive interactions with the community, to build relationships that we on patrol, in instance, don't have time to do. Because on patrol, I came from the 3 p.m. to 1 a.m. shift. That's the busiest shift. I believe Sergeant Barrett was on here last week, and he spoke a little bit about that. And there's a lot of officers on patrol, especially on the 3 to 1 shift, that really care about the communities they serve, but they just don't have the time to sit there and really build those relationships. Because if you have a shooting over here or a domestic in progress over here, they kind of get priority over playing with kids or even sometimes just talking to people and trying to get to know them. So this unit is a deeper aspect of patrol. We're kind of going to dive deep into that relational aspect and build on it. But the second half of it is problem solving. So we're going to work with community members along with certain methods that we're learning right now to try to reduce crimes in areas. So we want to work together with the community to solve these problems and not just everything going to police or everything going to community, because, we're all one, we're all a part of the community. So we need to solve these issues together. And that's what this unit will be spearheading. We can't do it alone. It's not, five officers.
Yeah, 5 of you guys.
If you include the sergeant, 6. If you commute our Commander Wallace, is 7. But, we need everyone from our police department, everyone to the community to kind of buy into these ideals so we can solve our issues together.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we've talked about before is, like, you got to help your fellow neighbor, So, like, help your neighbor, build these relationships with you guys, come to you when they've got a problem so you guys know about it, and then work together to figure out a solution. But, that first part where you're talking about how there's never enough time, like, I completely agree. But you always seem to make time, because I always saw videos of you doing something with the community. So, like, when I saw that you got picked for the net unit, I was like, that's a good man to be there. So
yeah, so when I could, I tried to just interact with people. I habitually played at Oakwood Park, play basketball with kids.
You and Watson were always out there, it seemed like.
Christopher Watson.
Yeah.
He's good, man. He's like doing that stuff too.
Yeah.
I just try to talk to people, If I see somebody outside just mowing their lawn or just sitting there talking, a lot of times I'll just check out on them and just talk to them, Not necessarily about anything criminal. Just say, hey, I'm Officer Johnson, just talk about whatever. Be the Cowboys games,
Yeah.
Oh, don't talk about the Cowboys with that.
Too soon. That ties it right there.
Sorry, man. I'm sorry. I ain't gonna say that. But it just showed that I'm a human, because, I remember the way I used to look at law enforcement, and we have a lot of officers that they really care. They really do, So I always had an interest in relating to the people in my community that I serve.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess seeing you, as AJ says, seeing that you in patrol were already engaging with the community, is that why this net unit was so intriguing to you and why you decided to apply for it?
Well, it's that time of year again, and it's the time where we search for new recruits to join our police department team. The Waco Police Department's civil service test is scheduled for March 19th. This is a day where a written and physical test is complete that you have to pass to start the process in becoming a Waco police officer. Before the civil service test is taken, you must complete an online application that you can find on our website, wacopolice.com. The deadline to complete that application is March 1st. And for any questions, you can call our personnel unit at 254-750-7510.
Yes, it was, because in patrol, I enjoyed many things. I enjoyed what I call high-speed things, like being in pursuits, taking one of people to jail, putting someone that may have did something horrible away from the victim so the victim is safe. But there's something about just interacting with the community. There's something about playing with kids. There's something about that deeper aspect of it that I enjoy more than all of that, if I'm being completely honest with you. I don't know what it is. I don't know why that comes from that, but I thoroughly enjoy that, and that brings me joy. Yeah. So this unit was perfect for that for me.
That's wonderful. I think it might be a good thing to talk about too. We haven't really explained. We hear our officers' stories about how they kind of progress through the department, but it's not just hey, we see you do awesome work in patrol. Why don't you come be in the net unit? You had to really work for this position, this new position, right?
Yeah, the application process.
Yeah, explain that.
So when the position got posted, like this kind of come with all of the position, there's a post and they send out an email, and it has all of the job descriptions, the mission of the unit, and kind of everything you have to do. So with the net unit, one of the first things is you have to do a presentation. So like I believe our presentation topic was how will cultural awareness and cultural competency influence relational policing to better equip the neighborhood engagement team. So the presentation had to be around 12 minutes in length. And so we had to prepare a presentation and then present it. Okay. So when we did our presentation, we we showed up in the basement, the police department, and it was kind of a wrench, because usually at a presentation when you test, it's just like 4 or 5 people. It was almost 20 people in there.
Wow.
Was it really?
Yes, there was.
Man.
And so did you get to watch everyone else's PowerPoints?
No, it was all
okay.
just.
That's the most nerve-wracking part.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
kind of backtracking for people that may not know, we're civil service, so we do these presentations to get points to kind of rank people, and then the top people get more points, and there's like a fancy civil service algorithm. So when I did my presentation, there was not 20 of us, so I didn't have the competition he did. But it's nerve-wracking. You're sitting there and you're like, I wish I could know what they're talking about to know if mine was better or worse. But you just get stuck out in the hallway by the coffee machine. And
And the reason why they had the 20 people in there was because when we're doing our neighborhood meetings, there may be upwards of 20 people, 50 people in the room.
Okay.
Then after we got done with our presentation, they also asked us questions based on the presentation that we had no idea what they was going to ask. And so we had to reply on the spot to the question, and which is similar may happen in a neighborhood engagement. I'm sorry, with a neighborhood meeting. And then after that, we had the oral board where we had, I think about 5, 6 people just asking us different questions, and you have to respond to. That's kind of standard. But there's something about an oral board where there's 5 people all ask you questions directly back to back to back. That's kind of nerve-wracking.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, we had an nbsp exercise, which is pretty much they asked us questions. We had to write out long answers, and that was pretty much to assess your problem-solving skills, your ability to think outside the box.
critical thinking,
Yes.
basically. Okay.
That was a process we had to go through, and I got selected. So.
Man, well, I mean, good for you. That's awesome and really cool. But yeah, I think that was important to touch on because, even though that our officers, you guys work there, you've already kind of gone through the whole vetting process. It's not just kind of a handout into the next position. You have to really work for it. And they really, really, really take into consideration who those new positions are and how they get to be filled. So
Pretty much anything except for patrol, you've got to test for, you've got to apply for. And if you don't fill out your application right, you don't even get to test for it. And that's happened before. So
Well, I would say all the process that we go through at the beginning, like the application process and all the vetting we do, I would say that's kind of, preparing you for patrol. Because patrol is where everyone's going to see. You're going to see patrol officers before anybody else.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I look at that.
The department is currently looking for those to join our dispatch team as 911 call takers. Being a dispatch operator means being the first to answer the call for help.
As a dispatcher, your job is to answer emergency and non-emergency calls for police, fire, and emergency medical assistance. When you work as a dispatcher for Waco PD, you're helping not only your Waco community, but the entire county.
To apply, you can visit the City of Waco website. We can't wait for you to be a part of the Waco PD team.
That's good.
I don't know exact numbers, but I would say it's like 80% of our department because that's the bulk of who does interact with the community. Like our detectives do follow up and interact with the community, but when you call 911, it's not going to be somebody that looks like us. It's going to be patrol. So.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, we might know the answer already, but what are you most looking forward to in the new net unit?
Yeah, I kind of already mentioned it, but it's just just interacting with the community and just building that deeper relationship. Because we as police officers, we have I call it a blessing, you know. When we're in uniform, we're wearing this little badge right here. We can, in some ways, transcend a lot of the differences that we put in between ourselves. Like, we got a uniform on, don't nobody care, you know, who you are, color of your skin, anything like that. They just want to know if you can help them, you know. So we can interact with people from different socioeconomic backgrounds, different ethnic backgrounds, religious backgrounds, whatever, and trying to help them out, you know, and help their problem. So I believe that is a beautiful picture, and I'm looking at going deeper and deeper into that aspect in this new unit. So.
Yeah, and you're going to be working with 6 neighborhood associations?
Yes, I am.
Oh, my goodness. When you heard that number, were you a little scared?
I don't know about scared, but I was like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So,
But we have a lot of neighborhood associations
yes,
in
we do.
Waco. If you really, like, map it out and look at it, I mean, what, more than 25?
something like that.
30 something on
There's
that
like-
list.
yeah,
There's a lot
it's-
that aren't active, but they're still on
Right.
the list. So somebody could restart one and then give you 7. You know?
It's probably going to happen.
That's
so.
okay. Just more people you get to interact with, right? And
Exactly.
help and
Yes.
work with. Especially with, I mean, you guys are going through all this really rigorous training right now.
Yes.
We just went through a pretty brutal one, I would say.
You got to tag along on that one.
I did get to tag along on that training. So, explain a little bit of that. What, you know, the preparedness that you guys are going to have to go out into the community. All this training that you're doing right now to kind of help the community move forward.
Most of the training that we're doing this month is focused towards a crime reduction aspect and a problem solving aspects, because there are certain methods and I guess thought processes that have been proven to reduce crime if they are applied to let's say a house. You know, if a house is continuously getting burglarized, there's certain things you can do to this house.
I do know those things too.
yeah.
We can go into those.
Oh, go ahead.
There's
You
a
are more
lot
than
of,
likely to
can
go
you a strike plate?
Okay.
That's probably the only thing I retained, honestly.
What about
A lot
the
more, though.
exterior?
The
So the
exterior-
first level is what?
The first level is the perimeter. So
Okay.
we want a good fencing around the perimeter, right?
Yes.
You
Yeah,
should be
there you go.
saying this, not me.
Hey,
You
me
got
and
the same
me and you was in the
certification
same
we did.
class. But and it was fascinating to me just learning those techniques, because there's little things you can do to a bush. Make sure a bush is not so high. Make sure lighting is good. There's certain things is uncovered that can deter a criminal from breaking into your house. And so this majority of things we've been learning is as far as that aspect.
Right. And you guys are going to be going to these neighborhood association meetings, right? Yeah, and going out, talking with them, kind of.
Passing on that knowledge.
Yeah.
Yes, that is the goal.
Building those relationships
Yes, sir.
to engage the community.
Yes. So those now, of course, as awesome patrol guys like yourself, move on into different units and get to, you know, engage in different ways with the community. Of course, we still like to have people coming in to kind of fill those empty patrol spots now, right?
Yes.
So we do have our civil service test coming up very soon in March, and we've got applications open right now. How would you describe the police department to someone if they were to ask you about, you know, if they should apply? How what's the job like?
The job itself. So the job itself is very unpredictable. The normal monotony that you experience on a day-to-day job, that is not police work. And that is one thing that I actually enjoyed thoroughly about patrol. Every day is different. You may deal with the same general type of situation, but every single day in of itself, there's something new. There's a new aspect to it. There's a new person. This person you may deal with today on this domestic is not the same person as last. They have a completely unique circumstances that got them to where they are, and you have to try to help that person. And it's amazing, man. All the stuff that we can do and the stuff that we can be exposed to is. I loved it, honestly. I loved patrol. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but you know, this new job just it called to me more.
Yeah.
I suppose. But it's a great job. You know, coming from my background, I never thought I would be a police officer, but I think it's a good job. So if anybody's on the fence about anything, you know,
Right.
they can just talk to me about it.
Yeah.
Because
come talk to you in your new role.
Sure.
Come do a ride along. See what the
I don't
job's
know if
all
ride
about.
alongs
Well,
are open
we
right
don't,
now.
I don't know what the ride-alongs,
We
but
got, there's a lot of COVID
If
going around.
COVID
right now.
changes and ride-alongs are allowed, I would highly recommend doing it if you're on the fence too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's just a great department overall, very, very family oriented, which I really appreciate. Now, I like to always ask these questions because you kind of get different answers every time, but any stereotypes you want to debunk here as far as a police officer or?
Like any misconceptions too, because some of those stereotypes aren't right.
no,
So
some
it's
aren't. I'm gonna talk about one that I had growing up. I always kind of thought police kind of out to get me. You know, like, oh, they're trying to do this. They're just messing with me. They're trying to get a little check mark on the quota. You know, but
On their activity sheet.
yeah. In reality, though, that's not the case. Especially at the Waco Police Department, a lot of the preconceptions that I had were completely shattered once I entered into this department. Because the majority of officers, if not all officers, are just trying to do their job and do their job well. There's many officers, like I think I said before, that really care, like truly care about the communities they serve. But, you know, just different constraints on calls for service or whatever have you, they're not able to just truly divulge the time that we will in this unit to try to relate to that person. But, you know, we care. So that's the misconception that I just kind of want to throw to the side. You know, we're not out here just trying to throw people in jail for no reason and just tear apart families. No, we're here to do a job. We're here to do a service.
Do you want to help solve crime in your neighborhood? Well, the Neighborhood Camera Initiative is something you might want to sign up for.
Ring doorbells, Nest cameras, and all the other camera security systems installed on homes and businesses that are facing public areas are tools that could help our officers solve very important crimes.
By signing up your camera or cameras in the Neighborhood Camera Initiative, it allows our officers knowledge to where these cameras are, and if a crime had happened, it could have possibly saw the incident in question.
You can sign up your camera on the City of Waco website at wacopolice.com.
And,
Yeah, I like that. That's very good, especially with, as we continue to grow and add new units, especially like the neighborhood engagement team. And I think that that's just one way that we as a department are trying to kind of break that, misconception. I think that's awesome. Yeah. Although I will say, this is only like a slight thing that kind of just gets me in my brain. We call it the neighborhood engagement team, but then the net unit, so it's the neighborhood engagement team unit. And team and unit's like the same thing in my brain.
Oh,
That's like the ATM machine.
It's like it's like the ATM machine.
I don't know the proper response to that.
It's okay. I just wanted to.
something.
It's always been
It's above
something
your
that
pay
just
grade.
kind of just itched my brain. I didn't like it. It's fine. It's okay. We're gonna still call it the net unit though. We like it. We love it. We're excited for it. Anything? And what's so funny?
I don't know. That got me off guard.
I know it did. I just every time I think about it, I'm like, man, we're saying the same thing twice.
It didn't bother me, but now I won't be able to sleep at night. So thank you.
It's gonna bother you. Well, anything else, BJ? Before we end this podcast here. Thanks for coming on. But anything else before we wrap it up?
We are in need of officers and we need dispatchers. So
Yes.
if anybody's interested in that, please apply. And I'm available to talk about anything if anybody's on the fence. Kind of how I was for years, but it's a good place to work for.
Yeah, you could talk about those dispatchers, how important they are from the officer's standpoint too.
Your point of view.
So they're the true first responders. So if someone calls for help, they're the ones who are going to answer the phone and try to direct them to the proper avenue. And right now we're very short, and that's the community in of itself needs to be served to the the highest level. So we need dispatchers for that because they are integral to our team. They are just as important as us out there patrolling on the streets. There's many different aspects of our department that are important to everything. I like to think of our department as a body. So they got different members and it has different functions, right? But they all work together, and the body is a servant, and the servant is to the community. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's important. For my crime scene techs, they are very important.
They should.
Hiring them too now.
Yes, well,
for those guys,
they extremely important. And for our records personnel, everybody, like from our maintenance crews that come and clean up the police department, everybody has a function. And the overarching function is to serve the community. So, come serve your community and work for us.
That's right. Come serve your community. Come work for Waco PD. I like
New
it.
hiring slogan there.
That's
was
good.
good, man.
That's good. All those applications you can find wacopolice.com. And BJ, we appreciate you coming on again. Thank you so much for joining us on Waco PD on the Beat. I am Sierra Shipley, aka CJ, for this podcast
Yes,
only.
we didn't even mention that. And I'm Officer AJ Smith, the Crime Stoppers Coordinator for McLennan County.
Have a good one, Waco.
Until next time.
Waco PD on the beat. The heartbeat serving